Hello, guys. Welcome. Nope, too loud there. Let me adjust this. Hello, guys. Oh, no. Hello. Hello, guys, and welcome to the Scar Thumb Podcast. I'm David, and today, man, we're talking about GamerGate 2.0. Or at least that's what some people are calling it. So, wondering why I might have how Alloy fits into all this. This is Alloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. Well, I think this is what GamerGate is really all about, under the surface. But to give you some background, the original GamerGate was about a journalist. Start off with a journalist named, not a journalist, but a game maker called Zoe Quinn, who slept around with some guys, kind of exchanging, or at least, being friendly with people sort of in the industry, the journalism industry, and these sort of connections and friendships and cliques, sometimes sexual, led to positive reviews, and people basically got to see the sort of incestuous nature of game development, especially indie game development, and the games journalism, where they're all sort of friends with each other. They're all scratching each other's backs, and people got mad at this. They realized, why are you doing this? But underneath the surface of all of that, the anger that people were feeling was really because of stuff like this. The fact that a lot of these video games now, the video game industry was growing up, it wanted to be sort of taken seriously in a lot of these creative liberal circles, so they needed to push the medium forward, in air quotes. And they were doing that at the expense of sort of people's enjoyment of these games, where you now have a character like this, Alloy, Horizon Zero Dawn. This is a major game, probably costs over $100 million to make, yet you're going to make your female lead, the star of this game, this ugly. I mean, look at this. This is not a face that is made to appeal to your, like, 60% plus male demographic. Like, over 60% is going to be straight men, and you're making her look like this. Meanwhile, when game makers make a character that looks like this, you have games journalism falling over themselves to call this a step backwards. This is from, I think, Digital Foundry said it best when they said this character design feels like it's a game from the early 2000s in terms of character design. And what he means is that it's clearly made to appeal to men. And underneath it, I think this is what both the current GamerGate and the previous GamerGate is kind of the anger underneath all of it, as men kind of feel like, hey, we're the primary people that play these games. We're the primary reason that this industry has grown so much. It's grown off of our money. Why is it not appealing to us? Why are we being thrown out in order for developers to please the sort of like journalism and the journalism industry, or the sort of liberal creative circles that these people run in order to score points with them? Excuse me. In order to score points with them, they want to make their characters look like this instead of this. Or at the very least, I mean, come on, at least make this girl look attractive. And then you have stuff like this. I mean, look at this character right here. Probably can't see her in the left. You have this androgynous girl with the ugly side haircut, and if you look at the bottom here, she's literally has blades for legs. She's disabled. Again, androgynous. And this is and you'll see in these articles where they'll talk about diversity. This is diversity, what they mean by it. They don't mean, hot Korean girl. They mean ugly, androgynous, Oscar Pistorius legs, fat, black girl that's totally unappealing to men. Essentially, this is what they mean by diversity: unappealing to men. So, with the current GamerGate, that aside, current GamerGate, this was started off, GamerGate 2.0. This was started off by two people, Felix at home, and this person called Chris Kindred, who is a they, where they told people to report this group. They didn't like the idea that there's a group called Sweet Baby Incorporated, or Sweet Baby Incorporated Detected, a Steam curator, that basically tells people which games this company worked on and tells them to avoid it. So Chris Kindred said, report this group, and even went a step further than that and told people to report the creator of the group, hoping really that they would lose their account, lose access to all the games that they've played so far. Over 60 new games. This person clearly likes video games, so they wanted them to lose all of this, simply because they made a Steam group saying that the games Sweet Baby Inc. works on are probably bad, because Sweet Baby Inc. is a consultancy firm that specializes in adding diversity to these games, or narrative design, to make them more, the diverse people feel, more real, authentic, is what they try to say. But essentially, like I said, diversity means unappealing to men. It's, appealing to the sort of theys of the world, making these, again, androgynous, ugly characters, or, making them, a lot of people would say, more woke. But I want to be specific in pointing it out that it essentially means making it more appealing, or more unappealing, to the core audience of the game. They make these games worse. And that is why this Steam group existed. It is why now that this Steam group has almost 250,000 followers. When I last looked at it, it's about to reach 250,000 followers, up from, and you look when Felix first took a screenshot of it, it was 5,000. This was, I don't have the exact date, but this was sometime I believe this was sometime last week that it had this many followers. And now it is up to 250,000. Things have gone viral. People obviously kind of latched on to this, and they're using Sweet Baby, I wouldn't say as a scapegoat, but in a way, they're a stand-in for people's frustration, the sort of customers' frustration with what is a deliberate effort to make these games unappealing. A deliberate effort to sort of make the developers, the studios, look better at the expense of the customer, the primary audience, making these characters, again, look ugly. This is ugly. There's no other way to say it. I mean, look at this face on the right. This isn't the sort of idealized female form at all. So, this happened last week, and people were kind of surprised that no one in journalism was covering this sort of fallout. And, well, it's because they're taking their time, probably talking to the folks over at Sweet Baby Incorporated, and getting their facts straight. They had to sort of work together, much like the previous GamerGate. Journalists need to sort of collaborate, get together, decide what their talking points were going to be, and then come out with it. So this is what we're going to sort of go over now. I'm going to go over some of these articles that came out covering the GamerGate, or not the sort of Sweet Baby Inc., this GamerGate 2.0. So let's go into the first one. This is from Eurogamer. This is by Liv Nang. Give me 1 second. Get a drink of water here so I can speak properly. So, Spider-Man, Alan Wake, ridiculous phishing devs speak up in support of consultancy studio Sweet Baby Incorporated after online group claims firm pushing agenda into games it worked on. Mary Kennedy, Associate Narrative Director at Insomniac Games, has discussed the current online discussion surrounding narrative company and consultancy firm Sweet Baby Incorporated. To recap, Sweet Baby Inc. recently became the target of a group which claims the company was forcing studios it worked with to increase diversity within its games and accused it of pushing a woke agenda into the industry. Following a report into the claims by Kotaku, a number of game developers have spoken up to clear misconception about what company actually does. And one thing you'll notice in all of these articles is that they will completely ignore the fact that Sweet Baby Incorporated employs this Kish Kindred, Felix. They're both employees at Sweet Baby Incorporated. And they told, especially in Chris's case, I mean, Felix sort of implies it, or a little bit more subtle about it, but they basically, for example, Steam does has guidelines to tell, what would prevent someone from starting a curator group that focuses on Sweet Baby Inc. so more people not to buy the game, where they sort of imply that, why are people allowed to do this? And then, of course, Chris just said, not being subtle, just goes and says, report it, mass report it, try and get it eliminated, try to get the person that made it eliminated. None of these articles are going to tell you about this. Just so you know, if you're wondering if they're going to be honest about it, and this is one of the ways you absolutely know that these articles are disingenuous, that they're just crap, propaganda. But let's move on. So, the woke agenda. They like to use these buzzwords. And they were targeted, became the target. It's not the fact that they did this first. And then in response, people got upset. No, they were the target because someone made a group that says, the games they work on probably be bad. Avoid them. They're not even calling for a boycott. They just said, hey, I don't recommend these games. But let's move on and see. Let's see. Kennedy, who has written for games including Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Telltale's The Walking Dead, upcoming Marvel's Wolverine, posted a thread on X. Some of you don't seem to understand how narrative consulting works in games, she began. But don't worry, I do. Yes, not condescending at all. During a game's development, narrative consultants will be hired by studios that will help fleshing out the narrative and twerking narrative elements. Narrative consultants do not get final say. Of course not. But it doesn't get into the game as we developers don't improve it. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Here is Kim Blair, Sweet Baby Inc. co-founder.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Terrify them with the possibility that don't give you what you want. So, this is important to point that out because this is sort of the pressure and one of the ways that getting in first of all, you bring in this consultancy group. Hang on a second. I think my OBS sort of crashed there. Anyway, where was I? So they bring in these consultancy groups. You work to bring in, you're like, hey, we need to bring in this consultancy group. This consultancy group, exactly, they can just consult and suggest. But what they also do is they act as a lever to sort of say, like, hey, let's dial it up a little bit. Maybe this girl isn't represented enough, or, she kind of has some sexist tropes, feels kind of icky. And basically this consultancy group can help, improve that and sort of act as leverage to make the game worse, essentially. Well, let's be honest. They just help make the game worse by diversifying it, essentially making it less appealing to men. But they consult, they do research, pitch ideas, give feedback, maybe even write scripts, but none of that gets in the game unless the core dev team agrees with it. And this is true, and this is one of the things that they're going to push. You'll see a lot of these articles push is that, they just consult. They don't write. The devs approve everything. They want to sort of build this straw man that people that don't like Sweet Baby Incorporated. And in a way, a lot of the coverage is going to reinforce this because, just how the algorithm works. Once Sweet Baby becomes a sort of buzz term that gets thrown around, people want to put that in the article, or in their videos, their YouTube videos, their threads. Everyone wants to sort of latch on to Sweet Baby Incorporated, and these articles are going to use that to sort of try to make people look like they're ridiculous, like, oh, Sweet Baby is, Sweet Baby is some sort of evil mastermind is what they're saying, and this is totally untrue. Devs want them, and that's true. Devs want them to be here, or at least they approve it. They approve the changes they make. There is an overall bigger problem with the culture of these developers, this sort of cultures of creatives, and the sort of nexus of these creatives in these places like LA, San Francisco, New York, where a lot of this development takes place, up in like Oregon or stuff like that. It's very woke. It's very liberal. It's very anti-male. And, this seeps into, you'll see, the same things that's happening in video games right now. You're going to see them in movies. You'll see them in comics. Any of these like sort of mainstream creative fields now are going to have it. I mean, you look at even football, and they have end racism right on their touchdowns, right there at the outside. It's everywhere in mainstream entertainment right now. There's this kind of stuff, this sort of guilt tripping, this sort of, we got to prove ourselves. We got to wear pink for breast cancer awareness. We need to do more to bring women in. We got female reporters on the sidelines of NFL games. It's just everywhere. It's everywhere right now. So it's not just Sweet Baby, but Sweet Baby has sort of become the stand-in, just the latest sort of piece to prove, sort of illuminate what is going on and what is going wrong with the video game industry. Sweet Baby has helped with consulting on a broad spectrum of blockbusters, including Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Marvel's Wolverine, South of Midnight, and took to X earlier to dismiss rumors that some FBI's agents, Alan Wake director, was really meant to be white. Sweet Baby somehow was the reason they're black. Probably not. They probably wanted to make her black, or they thought, yeah, making her black, that's going to make me look good. It's going to make this game better, more diverse. It's going to just look better overall. And I haven't played Alan Wake 2. I don't know the character, whether it's good or not. I don't really care. I don't really care about that. It's not, if it wasn't an established character that was race swapped, I don't really have a problem with it. As a game's interesting consultant, let me tell you, consulting requires three things: to understand your work as advisory, to understand your position is easily eliminated, to be so damn good at your work that others will continue to pay you to listen, one, and not to do two. So in other words, pay you to understand your work as advisory. So, of course, what's not listed here? Be so damn good at your work? No. I doubt that. I really doubt. I think most of the time they're brought in to make the company look good, be in like a photo op so they can show how diverse they are, how understanding they are. They're not racist. They're not rich white racists. Look at this. They got someone named Rami Islam to help them out. They're clearly not Islamophobic or anything like that, which I assume Rami Iswami Ismail, or however they're let's see, let's bring this guy out. Oh, look at this nice brown lady. She works at Sweet Baby. When you got someone like this in your photo op, it just makes you look good. I'm sure they're really good at their job. Let's just assume she's good at her job, all right? And then Kennedy created Haley Cooper. Oh, and this is the funny thing. So let's see. We're talking about Kennedy. Who is this person? Let's see. Get her name. To recap, spoke with Gutako. Number again, Kennedy. So Mary Kennedy is associate narrative director at Insomniac Games. So that's who she is. So Kennedy created Haley Cooper for Marvel's Spider-Man Marvel Morales, a Black Death character. And as stated, actress Natasha O'Feely was key in fleshing out Haley, a combination of internal and external consultants, plus O'Feely herself worked on the game's accessibility to help ensure Haley was a positive representation of the deaf community. As we already found out when she was interviewed for O'Feely and Somnak about Spider-Man 2. Let's see. Let me copy link address. And see, if I recall, one of the big criticisms of Spider-Man 2 was the fact that no one wanted to do these stupid side missions where you're helping a blind death girl. They just, you want to fight bad guys, be cool fighting supervillains, not helping the blind death girl. I think it was some sort of romance type of trope. I'm not even going to go into this, but it's kind of, again, just another nobody wants this. No one wants to cares about the Black Death Girl and whether or not she's a great representation for the deaf community. These people make up such a fraction of a percentage of the video game space. Who cares? I mean, help us fight. We want to fight Rhino. We want to fight Doc Ock. We don't need Haley. Haley O'Feely, or however you pronounce it. And it's just such a funny way to end this article. But yeah, we just help. We're just consult on the games. And then all of a sudden, and guess what? I made this super cool Black Death Girl that nobody likes in this game. So yeah, they don't make games worse. They just add worse characters. But anyway, that's it for the Eurogamer. Well, we're going to move on to another insane art. The articles get, it's important to note, these articles get even worse as it goes on. But give me a second, I'm going to grab a drink. My mouth is so dry this morning. All right, so going down the rabbit hole of insane articles about this Sweet Baby Inc. Fallout, we go to PC Gamer by Harvey Randall. A company called Sweet Baby Inc. has become the target of anti-woke gamers because it offers consultancy work and industry service have been normal for years. Consultants, not tyrants. Again, implying that somebody called them tyrants. So this is, again, they're trying to build a straw man. Oh, Sweet Baby Inc., black helicopters, FBI, woke rays shooting out from the stratosphere. That's what the Sweet Baby, some evil DEI, BlackRock, Carl Schwab, NWO stuff, Alex Jones, InfoWars stuff. That's what they're trying to sort of peg their opposition as, and not, just a guy that made a group called Sweet Baby Inc. detected that Sweet Baby Inc. employees targeted and tried to mass report. Again, this article will not mention at all the fact that someone from that group, someone from Sweet Baby Inc., tried to get the guy that made this lowly guy, with a few thousand followers of this curator, tried to get his account removed and for him to lose access to all his games. They won't tell you this. They won't tell you this because this makes Sweet Baby Inc. look like they're punching down, which they were. They were attacking a guy just for simply saying, hey, I don't like the work Sweet Baby Inc. does. So employees at Sweet Baby Incorporated decided they wanted to try to get this guy to lose his Steam group and his account and access to, probably hundreds of dollars, maybe even thousands of dollars worth of games. But again, let's move on back to the PC gaming article because they will not tell you that. So if you're gently confused as to why everyone would be upset at an allegedly Sweet Baby, you're certainly not alone. Yeah, guys, if you think that this is crazy, that people getting mad at employees for trying to cancel just some guy over making a group, you're not alone. I'm just as confused as you are. What's going on with this crazy stuff over at Sweet Baby Inc.? As per Kotaku, we're going to get to the Kotaku article next. I'm just kind of going down in orders of how crazy I think the articles are. So we're kind of saving the best for last. So apologize for that. But we will get to the Kotaku article because they mention it. Kotaku came out first, and then everyone sort of decided to let's get in on this, and we'll put our own little piece to build the narrative up. Since yesterday, Steam Group has picked up traction with over 70,000 members. At the time of writing, it's called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, as if to warn discerning customers of invasive DRM or something, which, yeah, it is invasive, but it's not DRM, it's just crappy writing and crappy characters. Instead of warning against potentially sketchy software, though, these concerned gamers have instead perceived a rising tide of ideology that's somehow taken over the industry by force. Yes, again, they want to try to make their opposition look as crazy as possible, rather than just acknowledge the fact that an ideology has taken over a gaming. It's not by force, it's by people slowly weaseling in, women weaseling in the industry, slowly trying to use journalists as weapons, as we can see. Let's see. No. Well, again, let's play this again.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them.
Yeah,
with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
They don't give you what you want. We're going to leak it out. Just let them know, like, hey, maybe a journalist will get a hold of this and, say that your character in your newest game is really offensive. And we're going to have PC Gamer, we're going to have Euro Gamer, we're going to have PC Gamer, we're going to have Kotaku, we're going to have The Guardian. All of a sudden, a bunch of pieces are going to come out about how bad your character is because you didn't hire this consultancy team to make this character more authentic and more understanding. So you better do that, or something. That could happen to you. Let's just imply, let's just terrify your marketing team into getting these people in this in to consult. And you don't have to. You don't have to take what they're saying. You don't have to do what they're saying. But if you don't, something could happen. There could be an article by Eurogamer, PC Gamer, Kotaku, The Guardian. They might all put out pieces saying that your game is insensitive and racist. But you don't have to do it. You're not forced to do it. But, it could happen. It's a possibility. So anyway, let's move on. No one's being forced here. No one's being forced. And in some ways, people are definitely on board to make these games worse for the primary demographic. So, Kotaku senior editor spoke to a handful of members of the group Discord who are primarily concerned about ideological worldviews that I believe have taken hold of Western world media and gaming as a whole, and that race and identity group quotas, DEI, in other words, the kind of stuff that crash an entire fleet of gamers, that cause an entire fleet of gamers to construct their own anti-woke sci-fi convention, rally against power-starving console features, that there were a big statement on climate change, or start a lengthy Twitter thread about how accurately rendered alloy with the usual amount of hair amount of hair a woman has on her face. To others, these people are crazy. They're ridiculous. Hey, Silver Bishop, good to see you, man. The situation grew in scale as some Sweet Baby employees, frustrated at the idea of a curated specific list made to avoid gamers they had worked on, acknowledged the group on social media. While Twitter has been removed, while this tweet has been removed, one employee also discovered and shared the group curator's Twitter account. Notice this. Notice this right here. This whole thing grew in scale. So you've been frustrated at the idea of a curated list specifically made to avoid games they had worked on, acknowledged the group's social media presence. While the tweet has been removed, one employee also discovered and shared the group curator's Twitter account. Not just the group curator's Twitter account, their Steam account. And what they fail to mention, a very big thing, is when they say, report the creator since he loves his account so much. Report this group. They don't seem to mention this at all. It's so weird that they wouldn't acknowledge this. They acknowledge the fact that there was Sweet Baby employees. And they also, what they don't do here, they say the situation already grew, that it wasn't happening, that the problem was already there, that when in reality it was this. It's Chris Kindred right here that caused this whole thing. Felix and Chris are entirely at fault for setting this in motion. Sweet Baby Inc. was nothing. It had 5,000 something followers, 6,000 followers beforehand. But then they had to told people to report this group, mass report it, and then that is where everything took off. So regardless of your opinion on that, it should be noted that Steam's guidelines for this sort of thing prohibits insults, harassment, and discrimination. The creators and members of the groups are responsible for ensuring that they adhere to all guidelines above. It can be argued that the anti-Sweet Baby group is violating said guidelines. That's insane. There is nothing in this group that is in a violation of their guidelines. All they're saying is they don't recommend this game. This company worked on it, and because of that, I don't recommend it, because it most likely, considering the work Sweet Baby Inc. does, it's not good. If the developer thinks bringing Sweet Baby Inc. into their game to work on their game is a good idea, then the video game is probably not good. It's probably not. Because they're clearly putting some sort of representation, this sort of bizarre character design, this diverse, quote unquote. And look, again, diverse. All this means is unappealing to men. Is essentially what it means. So, hey, this game probably has a bunch of characters like blind deaf girls that are totally unappealing to men that nobody wants to do missions for. So, anyway. Let's move on. Crazy. This is just crazy. Again, crazy. It probably is violating the guidelines, what Harvey's trying to say. Sweet Baby employees maintain that overall their job is to provide assistance to the company that already want to improve already existing diverse elements. So again, this kind of proves that Sweet Baby Inc. Detected is a legit group. I mean, first of all, they're saying that it could be argued that it's violating. And then in the next paragraph, they go on to essentially prove why Sweet Baby Inc. Detected is a good idea. Companies already want to improve already existing diverse elements. As per the company CEO Kim Blair, but the perspective is never that they were coming in and injecting diversity. For the most part, it's the reverse. It's that a company has created a character that they want to make the character more representative and more interesting. To the uninitiated observer who gets riled up over Starfield daring to let you they, them in space, Sweet Baby might very well represent everything terrible about video games in the modern era, which it does. But in case you aren't like that, I feel obligated to lay out an explanation. and then we're going to explain what consultancy is. Sweet Baby is a narrative development company, a consultancy studio. It designs narratives. Team A has an idea that may already have an outline of their story, a core gameplay loop. Maybe they got a whole script and a playable build. Either way, something's missing, and they come in and they sort of help work it out. An underbaked character. The team knows something wrongs, but they don't know how to identify or fix it. Empathetically states Sweet Baby has actually no say on what makes it into the final game. If that team disagrees with it, that team doesn't take the note. It's really that simple. Yes, it's really that simple.
And just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
They don't have to take it.
With the possibility of terrify them.
Just
terrify them. With the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
They don't have to take the note, though. To rephrase the obvious, Sweet Baby is about as capable of forcing a game developer to make a grand sweeping changes to its story and character as a contracted artist, musician, or catering company staff. Yeah, catering, just as a catering company staff working for office birthdays is. Again, ridiculous. What is this ridiculousness? Yeah, it's just the cater. They're just as capable of making changes as the janitor cleaning up trash. That's how unimportant they are. Then why would someone pay what I assume a 100K? Who knows what they're? I assume it's like 100K plus to bring these people in and consult. But yeah, they're just as capable of making changes as the catering staff. In a sense, Sweet Baby's work is literally a non-event, not in the sense that it's unimportant. I mean, the work is so normal that it surprises no one. Yeah, and that's true. It is very normal nowadays to make video games worse for its primary demographic. But let's see. Picking a fight doesn't matter who. Let's kind of move on. We've been talking about. I need to step things up. We're going a little bit too long, but there it is. That's the whole thing, folks. If you're against games with inclusive cast or what have you, it's growing harder to toe that particular line. So it's even proven, not that they need to, that they can be both good and bad in ways that any game can be. Yeah, but here's what you're missing out, is that this inclusive, quote unquote, which again, inclusive and diverse, just means stuff like this. This ugly, pig-faced woman. That's what that means. So yes, it makes it worse for the people playing the game, men playing the game, when you decide to be more inclusive by making your character ugly. Let's see. Silver Bishop. The only journals worse than normal journals are gaming journals. Divers into an identity, not an opinion. Yep. So this is, yeah. It's hard to say, for example, that non-heterosexual folks like myself, again, of course, this is where Harvey decides to make it about himself, are ruining video games when GamerGate 3 is inherently supportive of queer players, and just so happens to be one of the best RPGs in a decade. Yeah, in spite of that. In spite of it. It could be even better if they kind of left a lot of that stuff out, or even had it, and just, really made... I think Baldur's Gate, again, I haven't played it, so I don't know, but I think they still include enough that's appealing to heterosexual men to make it fun for them as well. Like stuff like, people loved Mass Effect, and it still had options for like same-sex romance. People didn't care because they still had good stuff in there for men. And that's one of the things that's sort of left out. If you, first of all, make it appealing towards men, and then kind of add stuff in on the periphery, like it should be, if you wanted to kind of include some of those messages, then do it. But when you, again, stuff like this, I'll bring Ally up again. This is your main character. This is your face of your franchise. When you do that, when you make her unappealing to men, purposely, in order to make her seem stronger, then that's when people have a problem with it. I mean, that's literally the face of the franchise right there. The face of the franchise. It's insane. Meanwhile, Korea's making this the face of the franchise. A beautiful woman that's clearly appealing to men. They could have like 10 gay characters in it, and people wouldn't care because they know, first and foremost, they're being appealed to. That they're cared about. The people care about this audience and want to make a good game for them. If Stellar Blade had, again, black characters, gay characters, they could have all of that in it. But first and foremost, you just give them a bone. You give your primary audience a little bone here and there. That's enough to keep them happy. But they can't do it. They cannot do this. And that's the issue with things like Sweet Baby Inc. and the companies that hire them. So it's far easier to believe that some insidious outside influence is sneaking into the policy. This is ridiculous. This guy's, hey, I can write, guys, so let me paint the people as ridiculous. Sinking into a Kabbalah sliver tendrils into your favorite hobby, rather than admitting that most gamers don't. Rather than admit that most gamers don't actually care, they do care. A lot of times in stuff like Baldur's Gate, it's like whatever. And there's some people that like Starfield, like, oh, the pronouns thing, whatever. It's kind of annoying, but I don't really care as long as the game's good. Yeah, most gamers don't care. As long as the game is good. The other stuff is periphery. It's a simple sell to invent a version of a company that's somehow forcing people at metaphorical gunpoint to turn the versatile rather than just being a server that's clearly useful for some developers telling certain kind of stories. And let's bring it out.
Go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Yep, no gunpoint, no gun there. Just subtle threats and a media that is far too willing to enable those threats. Ah, damn. I am going. Dang it! It's already been 45 minutes practically, and I haven't even got to it. To be honest, I could care less about diversity in games if the gameplay is great. I don't play chess because the queens on the board are nice to look at. It's true. It's true. Gameplay should be first and foremost. And unfortunately, with modern games, especially these like AAA games, which I think you dislike, and I know a lot of people kind of in the T-Rex army dislike. They become very narrative based, very very story based. A lot of cutscenes, a lot of talking. So these sort of things become unavoidable. I mean, when you have games that are like Skyrim or Starfield that very story based, you've got these characters in it. And if they're designed specifically to appeal to something that isn't a male, or a male with functioning genitalia, then it just slowly makes the game more unenjoyable to play. Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what some game. This is Kotaku. This is the one that sort of started it out, got the ball rolling, and it is one of the more crazier ones. Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what some gamers think it does. No one company is forcing diversity into all your favorite games. Of course, no one's forcing diversity. Let me play this again.
If you're a creative work search, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Again, nobody's forcing them. Nobody is forcing them. You have this great little picture here. Woke, censored. It's all connected. Yep, they're conspiracy theorists, those gamers. Sweet Baby Inc. is not the largest narrative design company in games industry, nor is it solely responsible. This is by Alyssa Mercanti over at Kotaku. And maybe I should just bring this up. Here's a great picture of Alyssa Mercante from 06-21. More white people need to get their ass beat on the reg. Well, seems like a really nice person. White people. She looks kind of white. I don't know. Hold on a second. I just need to type something in. Let's see. Early life. Okay, can't find anything. She doesn't have a Wikipedia page, so we'll never know. Studies. Hey, let's move on. I gotta get through this. I can't fool around. It sounds a little harsh. What's up, Dante? Let's see. All right. So Sweet Baby Ink is, yeah, a little harsh. Are you talking about the ass, white people getting the ass beat on the reg? It's not the largest narrative design company in games. It's just ignored it's solely responsible for the characters and stories in recent high-profile releases like Alan Wake, God of War Ragnarok, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. But good luck telling some gamers that, those pesky gamers. Last month, one of the company's consultants discovered a Steam group dedicated to detecting games that Sweet Baby Ink has worked on. The purpose? To encourage people to avoid these games because the group had deemed SBI was pushing woke agenda by working towards greater diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Steam group has more than 100,000, now 2,500,000, followers that, and its own Discord that boasts nearly 2,000 members. But the ire against Sweet Baby Inc., DI initiatives in general, isn't new. In October 2023, Kiwi Farms Post shares sentiment saying the company's involvement in Remedy award-winning 2023 action game Alan Wake 2 was possibly one of the biggest scandals in gaming history. Again, they don't seem to mention when the company's consultant group discovered a Steam group dedicated to detecting games. They leave out, conveniently, the fact where their employees told them to report the group and report the guy's Steam account, hoping that he would lose access to it and all his games. Again, convenient, and this is how you know that these writers are complete hacks. That, this seems like an important detail if you're going to talk about, some sort of conflict going on. The idea that the employees would try to get this banned, this person and the group banned from Steam, would kind of be relevant to the story. But this is clearly someone trying to build a narrative rather than report on it. The conversation around Sweet Baby Inc. has ignited a fundamentally misinformed GamerGate-esque firestorm. Its employees have faced rampant harassment as a direct result. Again, rampant harassment as a direct result of. Again, they leave out the whole thing where they tried to get this guy banned from his account, lose his games. And so, again, they're the ones being harassed. They didn't start the harassment by trying to get the stuff banned. Industry figures have denied allegations that SBI comes in and completely changes their games. Again, are people really implying that? Because I don't think so. Again, this is the straw man that they're building. That it's all, some crazy conspiracy theory rather than the fact that it's a good indicator. Hiring Sweet Baby Inc. is a very good indicator that you care so much about your narrative and looking good that you're willing to sacrifice the sort of fun of the game and the appeal of the game in order to appeal to people that aren't your primary demographic. What do what do bad actors think companies like Sweet Baby Inc. do? The game industry has its fair share of struggles lately, from massive layoffs to wildly expensive games like Suicide Squad falling short of expectations. Turning the loudest members of Sweet Baby Inc. detected Discord Company is directly responsible for those failures, not the studio that employed them in the first place. Because of the content Sweet Baby Inc. allegedly forces into games. Yep, it's all crazy. They're all crazy. And there could be like one or two guys that want to do that, or of course, the way social media works, it's so much easier to just say stuff like that, where it's like, Sweet Baby Inc., they're evil. And it works. It works for the algorithm to just say Sweet Baby Inc. and then Sweet Baby Inc. woke. Sweet Baby Inc. is woke and destroying games. That stuff's going to track. It's going to do well. So it's very easy for them to back up their completely ridiculous straw man argument by saying this is what their critics are saying. But it doesn't change the fact that Sweet Baby Inc. does go in and help make the game worse. Everyone knows that, and even Sweet Baby Inc. knows that, which is why you have people like this saying report the fuck out of this group, report the creator since he loves his account so much. These people know. Felix over here at home knows that they make the games worse. They know, Chris Kinder knows that they're making their games less appealing to their primary audience. That's why they're doing stuff like this. They don't want a group like this to exist because they know people will see that and think, wow, okay, this game's going to be full of, like, again, ugly women like this and blind, deaf black girls that you have to do missions for that are going to make your game worse to play. Rather than fighting Doc Ock or saving a good-looking Mary Jane from, like, the clutches of the Green Goblin, you're going to be doing fetch quests for a blind deaf girl. Let's move on. Try to tie this all together. In March, I managed to spend an hour or so on the Sweet Baby Inc. Detective Discord before I was booted from the space. Likely because I identified myself as a Kotaku journalist. Good on them for getting rid of the Kotaku journalists. In it, members shared posts referencing famous frequency founder Neil Sarkeesian, Marcus Aurelius quotes. What does Marcus Aurelius quotes have to do with these things? Again, they want to showing it like this is some sort of like proof that they're chuds. Pictures of the idealized feminized bodies in games. One image showing several pictures of the protagonist of Eve. Game developers juxtaposed against female characters from Overwatch were spoken. Life is strange. Reject again, this is supposed to be bad? This seems pretty good. Brace tradition, reject minority. Yes, tradition. By tradition, again, they're meaning the times that video game companies, it was just, a group of dudes. Maybe there'd be one or two women in, in the teams, but they realized, hey, we're just going to make this cool game with this really hot girl in it, and it's going to be awesome. This is the tradition that men want to return to, and they want to reject this sort of modernity where these games have to have, this ugly haircut, this sort of lesbian haircut that you see in so much stuff, which apparently signalizes a strong woman. Actually, I don't mind Zyra's look. I thought it was all right. I mean, as long as, but whatever. We're getting off topic. Some of it can work. It's just the way they always want to implement it is what screws it up. If if the women had decent personalities that were appealing to men, they wouldn't care. You could have that haircut. You could have the tomboy. Dudes online love that shit, but they have no femininity in them. So then they don't like them because having femininity or traditional femininity wouldn't be the characters that they needed to be. That, stuff like Sweet Baby Inc. or the developers that want Sweet Baby Inc. want these characters to be. Almost 2K members. Already a bunch of infiltrated people here that have screenshot everything, sadly. So just keep it cool, brothers. Again, we've already seen, I don't have it, but you've already seen people that have gone in and searched for slurs of the word Jew, control find, searching the Discord, and then reporting people and reporting the Discord for it. Several people in the Discord expressed concerns about glowies, a term coined by members of the far right. Oh boy. For suspecting of being federal law enforcement, yes, FBI agents, their informants attempting to infiltrate their online spaces and set them up for legal consequences. And in this case, a very apt term for these journalists and other people that are sort of going in, hey, how can I paint these people as racist, and report them with screenshots. Two members spoke to via Discord, shared similar sentiment about why they believe the Steam page and subsequent Discord are important, so they can identify games that were developed with the support of Sweet Baby Inc. and make informed decisions when purchasing them. Sounds reasonable. Sweet Baby Inc. is a symptom of other ideological worldviews that I believe have taken hold of the Western world media and gaming as a whole. A 31-year-old member. I don't understand why they mention the age. I think that's kind of meant to shame people, like some old dude. In the Discord told me he also insisted, without proving evidence, that Sweet Baby adds race identity group quotas to everything they're involved with. Which, yeah, probably doesn't have any evidence there. But they go hand in hand. Sweet Baby Inc. isn't forcing diversity, it's happening naturally, which is true. By naturally, they sort of mean, again, all this sort of culture that's surrounding these liberal areas where a lot of these games are made. Again, making this sort of appealing to men now in video games is seen as vulgar, it's seen as passé, and in some cases immoral at its worst. So blah, blah, blah. Assumption that the team at Sweet Baby Inc. Can only offer up content that's based on the identity is incredibly frustrating for the team. What the hell are they talking about? Like, that's in their entire job that they've said in their articles is sort of they go in, that something's missing, and we're making it more authentic. That's their purpose. So I don't get why they're frustrated about this. And for marginalized industry members at large, people can't imagine that we might do anything else besides DEI. They can't imagine that we're just talented. Yeah, we can't imagine. Let me please share with us your talented writing so we can judge how talented it is. That we're talented narrative designers, that people hiring us because we tell good stories. Yeah, people loved Spider-Man 2 for the story, I'm sure. Also, Suicide killed the Justice League. People were praising the story, praising it. Because we collaborate well and because we write video games. They have to diminish our accomplishments to our identities. They can't imagine that the work I did on Spider-Man was story work versus adding pride flags, you know. Keeps going on. We'll stop here with the Kotaku article. Again, crazy. But it is important to note that, again, I don't think they're forcing people. Let me
go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
They don't give you what you want. Yep. Just terrify them. There might be some people that are sort of terrified into getting Sweet Baby Inc. And there's others that wholeheartedly welcome it. We need to make sure this Black Death character is authentic. We gotta make sure the androgynous chick with the Osteoporosis legs is authentically black androgynous fat chick with Osteoporosis legs. Can we Sweet Baby Inc., do you have somebody on hand that perhaps has hasn't been a person that shot their wife in a bathroom? We don't want that person, but do you have somebody with like blades for legs? You come in and make sure it's authentic for us, please. But let's move on. Of course, again, written by Alyssa Mercante, someone that says more white people need to get their ass beat on the reg. Thank you, Alyssa, for that wonderful article. We're going to move on to one of the, I think it's probably the craziest ones of it all. This is by The Guardian. Give me a second. Again, we'll take a drink here. All right. So this is The Guardian. It's been 10 years since GamerGate, The industry must now stand up to far-right trolls. That makes no bones about what it's going to be talking about here. By Kenza McDonald, who is something. Conspiracy theorists. This is just going all out. Kenza McDonald, I can tell, had fun writing this article. It's insane, but I'm sure they really enjoyed it. Conspiracy theorists are still routinely targeting and abusing women and woke game consultants. With a small studio currently under fire, the games industry silence is deafening. Again, had nothing to do with this person trying to get some guy to lose access to all his games. 10 years ago, a game developer aggrieved ex-boyfriend published a vindictive screed, accusing her of trading sex for favorable reviews of her indie game, which she did. This was leapt upon by the least savory corner of the 2014 internet, 4chan. Kicked off a harassment campaign that broadened to include all women working in the video game development or gaming press, as well as the interstices LGBTQ community. Sensing blood in the water, alt-right agitators on YouTube and Steve Bannon's Breitbart jumped on the bandwagon soon began to steer it and GamerGate as the manufactured outrage became known and mutated into one of the first fronts of the modern culture war, driven by social media, misogyny, and weaponized disaffection of young men. Many of its tactics became part of the Donald Trump election playbook. Man, what a first paragraph. I kind of like it, honestly. It's fun. This is my type of insanity right here. I mean, as a serious article, it's completely ridiculous. But as just craziness put on a page, I kind of respect it. It's got everything. It's got misogyny. It's got disaffected young men in it. And of course, you got to bring it back to Donald Trump's election. Come on. This week, a 16-person narrative design studio found itself at the center of a conspiracy theory that holds it responsible for the insidious prevalence of wokery in modern video games. A group with more than 20,000 followers. Again, 200,000. You can see how late the sort of timeline, because this Discord group just gets bigger and bigger. Followers on the PC game front, Steam, as well as thousands of the Discord channel chat, believes that Sweet Baby Inc. is seriously forcing developers to change the bodies, ethnicities, and sexualities of video game characters to conform to woke ideology. They think that Sweet Baby Inc. has written and controlled almost every popular video games of the past 5 years, shutting straight white men out. Just hitting all of it. Straight white men. We got that in too. As Trump. You gotta mention Trump again. As Trump once again heads out on the campaign trail. This is a part of a broader far-right panic about diversity and inclusion that has already resulted in proposed regressive anti-women, anti-woke legislation in the U.S. and elsewhere. Whew. Damn. She's a great comedy writer, Kenza McDonald. It's just this is just amazing. I don't even know what to comment on this. She just says it so well. Just how crazy it is. Kenza McDonald. Just hitting all the talking points. Trump. Straight white men. Woke ideologies. These crazy straight white men being led by Donald Trump. It's all connected. And apparently we're the crazy ones here. We're the crazy ones in this. Not the person that wrote this article. Of course, they follow the same talking points. Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do that. They just help people do that. Help game developers ensure their plots make sense and their characters aren't embarrassingly out of touch. And this is what they mean by embarrassingly out of touch. They mean they look like this. And this is what, again, Digital Foundry put it best when they said, like, oh, this character design looks like something out of the early 2000s. it's problematic. You know, the face looks good, but everything below that, ooh, that's something wrong with that. We can't have that. This is what in touch looks like. This is what out of touch looks like. Right here. This is what they mean. Sweet Baby Inc. and other leaders suggest that dogged insistence, I believe one company is forcibly ejecting diversity in games is a widespread misunderstanding of how games are actually made. Oh, wait. Clicked on the wrong article. We're on The Guardian now. Sorry. The consultancy mission statement is to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive. Again, really doubting the more fun part. And probably more meaningful. It cannot dictate developers' feature, for example, of black female leads in their game. It does not have the power to dictate anything. But its employees are nonetheless bearing the brunt of the online mind's ire. Again, true. They don't do this stuff. But they've been doxxed, threatened, and abused online. Again, no mention in this article. You'll be shocked to know that this article does not mention the part where they told people to report the group and report the creator of the group. Again, hoping that they lose access to their games. Won't be mentioned that they started it. That they're the ones that kind of got this whole ball rolling with their initial attack. And then it goes Nathan Grayson with Aftermath. This is like a Kotaku spin-off. And Alyssa Mercante of Kotaku, both of them guessed it. Again, Melissa Mercante right here. More white people need to get their ass beat on the reg, Alyssa Mercante. Decided to investigate. And they'll bring out Baldur's Gate 3, and then the abuse, including pride flags. A full 90% of deaths surveyed at the Game Developers Conference last year said that harassment from players were an issue. That's, hey, most of the stuff is just like, hey, this sucks, this is a bug. I guarantee you, like, wow, you did a crap job of balancing. When Gamergate was going on, silence for most of the video, and this is where we get into the shaming the industry portion of this. So first part, they set up how, it's straight white men, Donald Trump, disenfranchised males that are, behind these sort of insidious, they decided to target this poor developer that totally didn't try to get a guy canceled, try to get a guy removed from Steam and lose access to his games. But now that she's set this up, that it's Trump and white men that are sort of harassing these poor people. Now we need the industry. Now we need to guilt trip the industry and people into conforming. Their silence is deafening. I love it. I love that phrase. Silence from most of the game industry was deafening. Instead of standing up for people that were being targeted, almost everyone who wasn't directly attacked by the gamer mob stuck their finger in the ears and instead pretended it wasn't happening. In other words, most people just didn't care. Because why would they? Like, hey, I'm busy making a game. I'm not here to fight a fight that doesn't involve me. A sizable part of their audience failed to speak out in defense of women until it was too late. We're almost done, and I need to move on. It's been over an hour. But we've also learned that ignoring them does not help. It only makes things worse. People working at Sweet Baby Inc. should not be left to suffer on behalf. Yeah, they shouldn't be held accountable for their crappy actions. Individual developers are braver these days about speaking out on social media. The director of Alan Wake posted that conspiracy theories claiming forced the developer to make the character black. Also tweeted strong denials. And the Marvel Spider-Man developer tweeted strong, but companies themselves need to follow suit. You need to step in line. Publishers and developers have worked with Sweet Baby Inc., including Warner Brothers Games, PlayStation, and Santa Monica Studios. Where are their statements of support? Where are you guys at? Are you going to publicly defend the people who worked on your multi-million-dollar games from false accusations? Or let the trolls control the narrative? Yes. Do you want to ignore the fact that Sweet Baby Inc. is in this mess because somebody tried to, again, report the creator and lose all their games? Are you just going to ignore that and then defend them for no reason? Nobody is forcing diversity into video games. It's happening naturally. Again, it's happening naturally because of the culture that is, again, slowly making men and their sexuality seem more and more immoral. Players and developers themselves diversify. It's happening naturally as players and developers themselves diversify. GamerGate, well, naturally. DEI has nothing to do with it. GamerGate didn't intimidate women out of the video game industry 10 years ago, and we won't be intimidated now. I know, it's unfortunate that they didn't. They weren't successful, and they won't be successful again, sad to say. The game industry knows that a greater breadth of content featuring a greater breadth of characters made with contribution to a greater breadth of people is good for your creativity and for business. Doubtful. No matter what some aggrieved gamers may think, this time it must make its support perfectly and unequivocally clear. Again, what a insane article. It's got everything. It's got Trump. It's got white men abusing women. And, of course, a call that you need to speak up. Warner Brothers, place to Santa Monica Studios. If you don't, you're going to let them win. You'll let Trump win if you don't speak up. But that is it for the GamerGate side of things. Oof, what crazy, absolutely crazy. All these people, total hacks, totally gloss over the fact that Sweet Baby Inc. was the one that sort of started this ball rolling in the first place, the conflict in the first place. They just couldn't leave. With the recent failures of games like Suicide Squad, they just couldn't leave this poor curator alone. They just had to try to get him removed. They're clearly feeling the sort of sting of these layoffs as stuff like Sony, Insomniac, studios that they helped work with, and of course, you know, the guys doing their victory lap. Plenty of people out there that get woke, go broke crowd, kind of doing victory laps about pointing out, well, look at these ugly characters, and now these companies have gone out of business, or, you know, getting laid off. Like, finally, the game industry is healing. They saw this, they got mad. They just had to do something. They had to take their anger out on somebody, and they saw this curator, this group, and they said, like, you know what? We got to do something about that. We got to get this guy and his group removed. All of this started the ball rolling, and man, did it blow up into something insane. Whew. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just gonna take a quick pause here. Give him a drink. We'll move on for something a little bit different. No more of this woke crap. Let's see. This was kind of interesting. This is Helldivers. Let's talk about some Helldivers, guys. Helldivers boss apologizes for horrible dev comments. Says Arrowhead has taken action internally to educate ourselves. Well, Helldivers put out a balance patch that wasn't well received because you guys nerfed a lot of stuff. And gamers do not like nerf. And though I do like the fact that they didn't like the nerf. They kind of came out saying that nerf don't buff isn't a great idea. However, as a designer, I can tell you it's not a great idea. I can understand the sentiment, but they're kind of worried about power creep, and they think it's a better idea to kind of focus on the core fantasy. I believe characters are scared of nerfs because it will ruin the fantasy of the weapon, ruin their fun. It's just extra important for us to tread carefully so we don't ruin the fantasy and fun when we do nerfs. We hope you, our players, will tell us when they cross that line inadvertently. It didn't go over well with a lot of people because they nerfed the breaker, they nerfed the railgun. And what happened, and the reason this guy is apologizing for horrible dev comments, is really, let's go over this. And this is where this gentleman named Frederick came out to talk about it. The game is still very young, So we wanted to address the things that were overrepresented before we start making sweeping changes to the entire arsenal. In general, most things we're working on, or it's working as intended, so we just touching things that are struggling / overperformed felt like it was a good start. We wanted to address things. We wanted to address things that were given a lot without any downside. Railgun should be good in unsafe mode, and the shield pack, the shield pack simply lets you ignore a large part of the game. So it made a lot of sense to take those down a bit. We want to make games roughly balanced first. If it turns out the things are just too weak across the board, once players have stopped just scratching the surface, that's when will rethink things. The game needs more time to mature. Taking out special super hard things, well, we might have more stuff cooking for that. So we're kind of saying like it's not things are we're nerfing stuff that's a little bit too good. And then he kind of goes on to say this was kind of downvoted quite a bit. This was things gonna get worse for him. A quick comment on why we decided nerf rather than buff. We're balancing a PvE game. That means balancing power levels versus the difficulty of the game, not versus other players. That means if we bring all weapons up, we also need to bring the enemies up proportionally to reach our target difficulty. We would like to see the other weapons, so it made the most sense to bring the stronger stuff down a bit and the weaker stuff up. On a personal note, I was horrified to see that people were crushing the harder difficulties only a couple of weeks after release. This is supposed to be a hard game. I want you to earn your success. Good luck. I'm honestly not sure why he got so downvoted for this. I think people, again, are still a little upset at the nerfs, edit typo. But I kind of like the idea that he wants to make this game to be hard. And it is. The level 9 difficulty before the patch was not that difficult. I was doing it, I was doing Hell Dive. It wasn't that hard. It's, profoundly unfun, and then sort of people didn't like us. And this is kind of where Frederick gets into trouble. It's so profoundly unfun to go back to a game and find you're less powerful. If you want to reach some target difficulty in your head, it's on you for being so far away on it with launch. You're acting like you know best, but you don't know your armor stats didn't work whatsoever. How much placing did you do? Keep your weird paternalism to yourself and actually listen to the players. Actually listen to the people playing. Again, kind of a jerk thing to say. Sorry to hear that. And he has to respond to it. And this is where he gets in trouble. Sorry to hear that, but if you came to Helldivers for a power trip, you came to the wrong place. It's a meat grinder. It doesn't matter if you're level 1 or level 50. You just struggle on the higher difficulties, which, again, seems like a good idea. It's got to be hard. You got to be challenging. So you're doubling down, I see. We had fun. Well, have fun with your actor-player base numbers dropping, I guess. Nobody wants to play Run from the Charger you can't kill on higher difficulties, no matter how much that fits your vision, in quotation marks. And then he says, a game for everyone is a game for no one. That is the motto of Arrowhead. Hey, Jack, what's going on? I like my games as hard as possible. But you guys are definitely going at it the wrong way. If this patch is any indication what the future holds, nobody worth listening to is saying that the game should be easier. This isn't what people are or should be upset about. Your design is flawed. P.S. Jump pack buff, please. This is what they're kind of going with is, the difficulty of the game right now. Just stuff like Chargers, and I don't even really think Bile Titans. It's just like some of these harder enemies just take so long to deal with that it's not a matter of, I brought the right stuff with me. It's a matter of, you haven't given us enough tools, or the tools that you did give us, like the recoilless rifle, aren't doing their job. They're not good enough at taking those things out. So you're kind of stuff either using the railgun and just sort of running around shooting its leg. It's just taking too long, and it's annoying. It's annoying. You can make the game hard, but there's a good way to make it hard, and there's a bad way to make it hard, and they're not hitting their mark, I think, is the general consensus of the community. And then Frederick really gets into trouble with this. I'm feeding the rage a little bit for my own entertainment, just so you know. We haven't nerfed anything in the ground. I just think it's a little too early to pretend like the game is figured out. We made 2 of the most brainless playstyles less viable, and brought guns that were under/overperforming more in line with the rest. The game is only a couple weeks old, so before we start making sweepy changes, I want everything roughly where we intended from the start. That doesn't mean we won't bring things up when we know more about how people play the game. So I think he really got into trouble by calling this brainless. These playstyles brainless. And again, they designed these weapons. So if the playstyle's brainless, that's really on them. That's their poor design. But it is kind of an odd terminology to use. And then again, here, it really gets into trouble. I'll be happy to push for buffs if it turns out to be needed. The game's only a couple weeks old. You can't expect the game to be figured out already. We touched the biggest offenders. Once players are past the Dunning-Kruger phase, we can start looking into bigger changes. Of course, Dunning-Kruger, known for, like, essentially people, that think they know a lot about something when they really don't. So essentially he is kind of accusing the community of a sort of cognitive bias, which people of limited competency overestimate their abilities. So he's kind of accusing, like, hey guys, the game's only 2 weeks old. You don't really know how the game works. So once we get past your Dunning-Kruger phase, I think this is a ridiculous thing to say. I personally would not bet against, hundreds of thousands of autistic Redditors to figure out how systems work. I mean, it's just when you're having, like, again, thousands upon thousands of games playing out at a single time, that they're not going to figure out stuff that you yourself as a developer don't know. I mean, maybe he does have some information that they don't, making the game. I'm sure of it. But then to kind of, like, insult the player base for not knowing that is a little ridiculous. And again, sort of betting against thousands upon thousands of people having sort of iterative knowledge of your game seems kind of stupid, to be honest. So he gets into trouble, and that is why the dev, sort of the CEO, had to come and say, horrible. And I think this is just sort of exaggerated to try to appease the sort of angry player base. And I think this is all a shame because of the way Helldivers is set up. The idea of devs, they kind of have like this sort of D&D style campaign where, there's actually like a games master. So the developers kind of being antagonists to the player base could be really good if it's done in sort of a playful way, where it's like they're setting up, we're setting up challenges for you to kind of overcome. We're kind of evil, because I mean that's what a good DM is. He's kind of evil, trying to kill the players. He doesn't, you don't want to give them sort of unfair challenges, but at the same time, you want to sort of you are the antagonist for you. Sort of the players are the heroes, you're the antagonist, trying to, and all of it's sort of done in a fun and playful way to help the players enjoy themselves. And, stuff like talk like this, unfortunately, I want them to talk. I want them to say, like, hey, we got to make this harder. They just need to do a better job at making sure they don't say stuff like brainless or accuse the community of being in a sort of Dunning-Kruger phase. So that part, a little bit too cocky, a little bit kind of a harsh, a little bit stupid. So it's a shame. It's a shame. And I think that kind of sets a bad example that hopefully they can correct. They should, as sort of like game masters of the PvE game, they should be antagonistic, just in a fun and good way. So hopefully they can correct course. So one of the last things I want to talk about, sort of let's move on. This is how, again, Helldivers. This was a ridiculous article. Ridiculous. Speaking of bad journalism, this is by Diego Nicolas Agrello. I hope I pronounced that right. It took Gats the Demon 10 days to be able to play Helldivers again on February 21st. Okay, let me read this is from Polygon. Let me read the title. For some Helldivers players, the fastest roleplay has gone too far. Oh no. Some guys are having too much fun, and people are taking them seriously. It took Gats the Demons 10 days to play Helldivers again. The TikTok users AJ Gaming shared a video featuring Gats killing them. The subsequent sequence went viral overnight, garnering millions of views. As of this writing, the subsection Helldivers community hung up on the politically charged satire theme of the online shooter, labeled the player as a traitor. It began inciting to shoot on sight. Alongside dozens of TikToks campaigning for a witch hunt, Gats' PlayStation account was temporarily banned after receiving hundreds of reports. Again, probably not. Reporting the thing was kind of stupid, but still, again, kind of fun to see, like, oh, that guy's a traitor because he betrayed him. I think, let me see if I can bring up this TikTok.
Watch out, Helldivers. If you see this name join your squad, leave immediately, because he will absolutely ruin the game for you. This is Gats the Demon, possibly the most infamous Helldiver on all versions of Earth right now. And that's because he is a traitor, and he will try to make sure that you don't even see it coming. Now, you've probably all experienced friendly fire. It's just a key aspect of the Helldivers games. Or you might have even run into other Helldivers that will...
So this, I'll move on. I thought these tickets were supposed to be short. But anyway, it came out. He sort of like became, persona non grata. Like, oh, he's a traitor. That's overall, it's supposed to be fun. But these people just cannot see that. The last 2 weeks has been surreal. I thought this was getting attention over team killing inside the video. Get told Polygon over Discord. It was pretty, again, he's kind of enjoying it. It was pretty cool, but at the same time, reading comments, players saying they were going to find out who I was. At least my personal, I thought just about deleting it all. So yeah, it's kind of cool, and then, some people are taking it too far. That should be it. Some idiots are taking this too far. Just a mere few weeks after launch, in which thousands of players were forced to wait in queue. Being at max almost every that day, Gats was immortalized in fan lore. According to Gats, however, it was all a misunderstanding. The team kill was payback for a friend being attacked by 2 remaining players in a team of 4. Gats avenged them, which was in the clip we all see. Against, let's see, misunderstanding. Let's see, bring that up. Point of view getting killed by Yola. Yeah, I don't know where the actual clip of it is. I think. Oh, this is it. This is the original video. About to leave. Fighting out here. Telling them about the land. And have no reinforcements left. So this is do or die. And then, there's Gats the Demon killing a rogue Helldiver, and he's extracting. This is of course, I guess, earlier, they killed one of his friends, so he decided to get him back in that final moment where they couldn't do anything about it. Is there a buzz in the background? It might be because the mic is turned up a little bit too much. Let me see if I can do... it's a little bit too late to do anything about it. It probably is my, Jack, it probably is my thing. If I turn my volume up a little bit too much, there could be an electronic buzz. I'll be able to remove that in post for the clips. But who has submitted itself an example of how the in-game theme war is put together, propaganda, the resounding community beyond the game itself. After conducting interviews with our 60 players for this article, it is clear that propaganda of Helldivers inherently encourages people to band together, but some are acting in bad faith, spinning the clear satire into overly serious military roleplay, one that extends beyond acting like consecrating someone as public enemy number one. Uh-oh. Toxicity has become a popular topic among the Helldivers community as of late. Overall, over at the game subreddit, there's been discussion about pursuing or rejecting certain meta styles. Talked about Gat the Demons again. Such activity is unfounded in terms of the game's mechanics alone. Some people interviewed said we're seeing players embrace the emphasis on cooperation, and that attitude has been more prevalent than the instances of toxicity. Yes, overall, and this is the thing. Hey, X-Runner, how's it going? This is the overall theme of the article, is there really isn't a lot of toxicity going around. They're just going to take sort of minor instances, isolated instances, and try to apply them to a broader swath of the people playing. Again, sort of people sort of enjoying the military role-playing. This is just another example of sort of male fun and sort of masculine sort of thing, masculinity being seen as evil. This is thanks to multiple factors. Players receive rewards on extraction. This is sort of going on and why it's encouraged. We haven't seen this much among a community since Halo 3. Haru Ichimanda said over Discord, the game gives everyone a sense of pride of being able to work toward a greater puzzle. You see this actively fighting the world below, and you get the surge to dive down and help them. This is supported by Cadron96, pointing out the novelty and narrative around Helldivers being purely player-driven. Talks about Malavion Creek, but most interviews point out the sense of camaraderie, a big uniting force, and they talked about this. But the community has been expanding on the game's thematic propaganda since its launch, including anything from fan-made posters, slogans "Spill Oil" to the Super Earth broadcast, fan-run TikTok. Others express, and then of course this is where it kind of turns. Most of its attractive perspectives was easy to roleplay around or create fan-made content which had world building. Others expressed concerns for those players who are taking it to the extreme. Something about Helldivers 2 makes people taking it too seriously a big problem. Users Vivi Gaming said over Discord, they talk like they're actual soldiers. I get roleplay. Hell, I love roleplaying. I have a feeling not the same level of roleplaying. But so many people get into the war aspect and then fail to realize that not everyone cares about it. You're right. Not everyone does care about it as much. They're just having fun. They don't give a crap about you. She added that there's an increase in people who are only interested in watching the numbers go up, baptized as creekers by the community. They tend to spew toxicity against anyone whom they consider to be hurting the war effort by not taking part in major orders. Part of this hate has recently been redirected toward developer Joel. Again, this is complete crap. They're just, again, expanding on like jokes and then saying it's toxicity. Who described Helldivers' Dungeon Master in an interview with the PC Gamer. The community seems to have latched onto a name, and now he's the face of the Galactic War as a whole. I cannot imagine this is good for his mental health. Vivi Gaming. This is just, again, concern trolling, essentially. Oh, I feel bad for Joel. I can't imagine this is good for his mental health. These are just guys having fun. I'm sure Joel's having fun. Who wouldn't want to be seen, sort of enjoyed being seen as a sort of puppet master pulling the strings for one of the most popular video game of 2024. Players have found other ways to combat the hate. The Super Earth says trans rights Discord server, a queer group led by 70 current members, is one of several sub-communities that sprawled outwards from the official Helldivers server. The channel Bigot Watching collects hundreds of messages and interactions where users in the official Helldivers channel, such as Helldivers official Discord, has insulted members of the Discord. So a doxing channel. Using slurs and threatening via DMs and screenshots shared with polygons, these users have explicitly stated, especially use Nazi speech to primarily target trans and furry folks, as well as using images of related paraphernalia such as SS uniforms in their profile pictures. Developer Arrowhead did not respond to Polygon's request for comment about any of these issues in time for publication. So, yes, we'll dox these people. We'll have a specific doxing channel where we can sort of use this. We can use Polygon to go to Arrowhead and ask them, sort of pressure them into doing something about it, or getting these people banned, or perhaps sort of like leveraging it into having Arrowhead make changes in order to be looked at as combating this sort of bigotry. The problem here isn't actually the bigots. They're an unfortunate fact of life that can never be eradicated. The problem is that, and this is where we get to this. The problem is that Arrowhead official spaces have made deliberate decisions to silence LGBTQ voices under the guise of banning any political discussion. This line just makes me rage so much, because it's always as if people's identities are political. Yes, they are. All this LGBT is political. You idiots. And I hate when they, nobody, this is just my identity. It's not my politics. It's 100% your politics. You idiot. And if the game was not created and marketed as a heavy-handed piece of political satire, yeah, they don't want this crap in their space because it's going to crap it up. People are going to get mad. It just leads to garbage discussion that isn't game-related. Good on them for silencing that. But of course, they're going to use these channels that'll collect data in order to have places like Polygon, leverage that, sort of kind of say, like, well, Arrowhead, why are you being so bigoted? You need to allow this discussion and target our political enemies. When Wendy Wilson voiced the official that it had been possible to have pride capes added to Helldivers to Polygon, she is since receiving messages telling her to keep your shit out of our game. Very fair thing to say. Followed by slurs and harassment after she changed her profile to the trans flag in protest. Posting a long message in the official detailing events and asking for proper honor. She was timed out for 24 hours. Her message was deleted and a swarm of other people jammed. Disallowing discussion only causes LGBT members of the community to hide, while bigots get to remain. Read an expert from the deleted message. Yep, so again, this is what they'll do. They'll take like a few bad people saying, taking it too far, and then take reasonable stuff like, hey, yeah, we don't want pride flags in the game. That's dumb. It's going to ruin the immersion. And nobody wants to talk about this garbage. Nobody wants this discussion. Keep it out of our Discord. We don't care. It's about video games. It's just a place to talk about games themselves. We don't want this stuff here. And then they're going to try to say that this is bigoted. Encounters is extended to the game itself. Past week users mechanized Quartortion was team killing and kicked from a public hockey after someone saw. Again, this is a totally isolated incident. Saw a trans flag in her Steam profile picture. When I joined and saw him go AFK for a bit, then he came back, typed chat along like, get out of my game, freak, and then killed me. He told me after I said why he said that. He said he looked at my Steam profile, and that says that your kind of people, he doesn't like your kind of people, and kicked me after. It was surreal. Again, this could all be made up as well. Who knows? And then they'll go on and on talking about this. But again, this is the whole thing. I care so much for Helldivers and its community. I found I'd hate to see the game become known for its toxicity not being addressed, which translates into ban our political opponents. We want our garbage, our political garbage in your game. And if you don't do this, you're toxic. You're bad. Please ban anyone that doesn't want our political garbage, our lame, gay, LGBTQ flags, queer flags in our game. Please ban them as well. Yeah, an insane article from this person Diego Nicolas Arguello. Thank you for that. From Polygon. Oof. This whole week has just been insane. With insane journalism everywhere. Hopefully we're going to have Post Zero pretty soon, so let me get over with it. Just a quick thing. Sad news. Let me see if I can pronounce his name right. Akira Toriyama. Everyone knows him, or anyone will know Dragon Ball Z that ever followed anime. They know Dragon Ball Z. One of the most influential manga creators. Known for Dragon Ball Z. Super influential. You cannot imagine. I can never not imagine anime ever taking off in the U.S. the way it did. Not until an hour. No rush. Okay. So daylight savings time. It's got me thrown off. We inform you sad news. He passed away. Acute hematoma. I think it was, how old was he? 68. So still, that's not a bad run, but still pretty early. And I think he still had some stuff left in him. But again, super influential. And not just in anime. Dragon's Quest, one of the first JRPGs, and sort of set the stage for a lot of Japanese RPGs and RPGs in general, using his artwork. One, of course, this is Chrono Trigger, one of the greatest JRPGs of all time, famous for using his artwork here. Character design and art direction, absolutely beautiful. We see here his loss, of course, will be very resonated, but, at the same time, few people can hope to have an impact in their field and fields related like he did. So it's always sad in a way to see that happen, but at the same time, really, you talk about a life well lived, to have the sort of impact that he did. Definitely a life worthwhile, for sure. And lastly, we'll end it talking about a slight news. Yuzu. We talked about him last time. Kind of follow up on this. Yuzu had agreed to pay $2.4 million in damages. They settled their lawsuit with Nintendo. Mutually agreed on both parties, but a lot of people, mad at Nintendo for video game preservation. But a lot of people saying Yuzu, not the. And then, of course, they came out with a apology or a statement talking about how, while being against piracy, we started our project in good faith out of passion for Nintendo and its console games. We're intending to cause harm, but of course now they see that our project has circulated Nintendo technology protection. Of course, this is where the lawyer, the sort of decreed by the court statement, where they say, yes, we did help piracy. And we came to the decision to discontinue the project. Like Nintendo, we decided, Nintendo suing us had nothing to do with it. We're like, it's all our fault. This is the court mandated it's all our fault statement. But a few people saying, you know what, Yuzu wasn't saints themselves, kind of pointing it out that some evidence where they were kind of putting these ROMs on a paywall, consistent with the drive, regularly works with new Switch games running on Yuzu on the day of release, in addition to Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Discussed above, Yuzu and Buni specifically had announced that major Nintendo titles of Metroid Dread, Super Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury, Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu were played on Yuzu day of release. For this instance, seen in Buni's post. I can see people working on Yuzu. The fact that many instances of Buni officially gets new games running the day before the game's released in the United States. For instance, Buni linked to a Patreon article which information and belief Buni drafted announced late May 28th. And this is also quite interesting. Yuzu has a feature called Telemetry, which according to Yuzu's website collects anonymous data. Its users of the software data, again, according to Yuzu, includes games user playing on Yuzu. Developers can discover what are the most popular games, hardware configurations, which emulated games crash and use them more often. On the information, the belief Planet Extraction discovered to show game data reveals to the defendant that developers that its users are playing pirated copies of the game, including because that the data reflects people playing the games prior to the official release. Indeed, Yuzu Progress Report noted that according to user data, Tears of the Kingdom is far more the most played games. So we can kind of see where Yuzu might have shot themselves in the foot by putting stuff behind, Patreon paywalls. This is gentleman Hikomita. Yuzu devs settled to avoid discovery. They were going to get effed with multiple infringements for making ROMs and distributing. Between the Yuzu devs and awesome pre-releases of the games, they allegedly had a ROM stashed on their Discord too. Nintendo ninjas were inside the Discord watching. Now all the Yuzu devs turn over electronic websites, logs, and Yuzu is running telemetry in the background collecting anonymous data. Our heroes, everybody. So Yuzu, sued by Nintendo, but probably not saints themselves. And of course, this is one thing that always gets me when they talk about, ROMs, emulators. It's all about digital preservation. They conveniently leave out the fact that there's a ton of piracy going on with it. But that's it, guys. That's it for the video. Oh, I do want to mention I do have I should have set up channel memberships. So if you want to support the channel, memberships are available. That has been enabled now. And I do thank you all for the support that you've been giving to the channel. It's been growing very well, and I appreciate it. Post Zero is going to be starting on Jack's channel. If you want to join in and watch that, it's going to be covering Akira Toriyama and sort of his effect on the industry. Again, a man that had a very good life and it had a lasting effect on his media. And I don't think Jack's search videos from other channels. I don't think Jack has redirects available. So I can't really do anything about that. Can't redirect you to him, but check out Jack's channel. It should be on there. Post Zero. Well, let me see. I can actually link it in the chat. Let's see. Let me find my YouTube and link it to it. It should be listed somewhere. Is it listed? Jack, what's Post Zero going to be on? Do you have the link to it? Or am I crazy? Let me look on Twitter. Maybe it's on someone else's channel. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Jack Napier. I'll list that in the live stream. Oh, I just put the live up. Okay. Oh, here it is. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you later. Oops.